as a millennial, when I saw this, I was like, oh, another thing happened. I was just, I didn't have any connection to it because I was like, something else will happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know?
I get that. I can see that.
And when I look back at it, yes, that's not good to think that way, but we've been conditioned to accept this garbage.
Welcome to Gen to Gen, the podcast where generations connect, clash, and converse. In a world where age often defies perspective, Gen to Gen breaks down the barriers, bringing together two vibrant voices from different times. Meet Teondra, a spirited Gen Xer with her finger on the pulse of what's trending, new, and next. And Phil, a thoughtful millennial who blends wisdom with wit, offering insights shaped by a different era. Together, they dive into a myriad of topics, from technology, culture, and lifestyle to the deeper nuances of relationships and societal changes. Expect lively debates, surprising agreements, and everything in between. They don't just share opinions, they explore the why behind them, bridging the gap between Gen Z and Millennials. So, whether you're a Gen Zer, a Millennial, or just curious about the views from both sides of the generational divide, Gen to Gen is your go-to podcast. Stay tuned, stay curious. This is Gen to Gen.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Gen to Gen podcast. I am one of your hosts here. My name is Phil. I am a millennial, which means I'm getting older as every week passes. It's just getting
Every
sad.
day, every second, every
Yeah,
moment.
I'm getting older. But don't fret. If you are here watching, that means you probably are too. You probably are either a Gen Xer or a Gen Zer, which is my co-host, Teondra.
Hi, guys. I feel like my heart just be so... How are you guys doing? Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button because we need y'all. I ain't even gonna lie, we do. But I am great, Phil.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this exciting show today?
Yeah, we actually had to take a shot of Fireball before we got started because this episode may be a little bit heavy,
I feel like it's gonna go really deep. I have a lot of questions. I think it's gonna go deep.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what, this show is talking about, as time progressed with social issues, us as Black Americans, we've gone through the ringer, as you can call it. But I think as time progressed and as Gen Z is more, what's the word? Not enthralled, but more into online social issues, I think it's time that we actually have a discussion about it and how the different generations interact and how we view the same social issues. So to bring someone in, this person is a fantastic woman. I met her, I think last year sometime, and she blew me away. So I had to have her on the show. She is single-handedly, I'm gonna give her flowers here. She's single-handedly rebuilding the city of Mims over on Titusville to make it a better place. So I want to show some love to Karen Tooley Curry.
Thank you.
She's rebuilding a city.
I think Phil is exaggerating just a little bit, but I appreciate it. It's a little no pressure, right?
No, but seriously though, what you're doing for Mims, honestly, is really good. So I'm going to attempt to say it. It's Tooley Community Development Group.
That's right.
So go ahead and explain what your role is and what you do there.
Sure. So it's Tooley Community Development Group. I am the executive director there. We established the organization in 2020. My mother was a pastor in East Mims, and East Mims is the area that we operate in. And my mother was a pastor there. She passed away in 2020. And when she did, she left me responsible for her ministry. So what we've done is, rather than doing the church as usual, come in and have church every Sunday, I wanted to do more outreach. I wanted to be more in the community. I wanted to make a difference. So we established the development group with the intention of doing case management. We do some STEM education for kids. Case management is big. It's a wide open thing. But we've recently gotten more into dealing with homelessness. We will be building affordable housing because we own parcels of land over there as well. So,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Breaking generational wealth. That's
Yes.
exactly what that
Absolutely.
means. That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
I always want to say like I want to change the world, but I'm one person. So are
right.
you doing this? Like you have a team, of course. Okay.
Right. Being a nonprofit, you work on grants, on fundraising, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have a team now, and I I am praying and I'm trusting that
Mm-hmm.
we'll be able to hold on to our team. Um, and yes, it is that thought. I want to change the world, but how do I do that? Start where
Right.
you are.
Exactly.
Start where
You
you
have to
are.
start where you are
Mhm.
because the world is a big place. And there's a lot of people in the world. And you can lead
Yes.
the horse to the water, but you
Yes.
can't make them drink it.
Yes, and it
So
can
how
be intimidating when you
yeah.
try to, like, what do they say? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
Wait, people ask that
That's a big
question?
elephant, right? I know.
Really? How do you? Is that where that quote? Where'd you hear that? Where'd that come from? Is that a millennial? Is that a Gen X thing?
I don't know. Maybe it is.
I've
Maybe it
never heard that
is.
before.
Me
You've never.
neither.
How do you eat an elephant?
How
Who
you eat
says
an
that?
elephant?
Okay, I'm showing my age already.
Dean, have you heard anybody say
This
that
is what
before?
this is about. We gonna
How do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
That one is not ringing a bell, but
All right.
very similar.
it's
the
not
country
very
thing?
similar.
Where are you
very,
from?
She's from here. She's
Oh.
from Mims.
Well, at any rate, what that means is start where you are and take it a bite at a time, right? Because anything that's that huge is it can intimidate you. So,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly how I feel about my movie. Like,
Yeah.
it takes a lot.
It does take a lot. That's the budget alone.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I'm doing it without a budget.
Okay.
I'm
It's
doing
even
it
harder.
without a budget. So that's even harder. It's like
Yeah.
basically finding people that has the passion, who see the vision before it is even like alive. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
knowing that this vision can take us somewhere. So it's hard to find people like that. but-
Yeah, to get people that can buy into your vision, that can see it with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not easy.
So how do you when it comes down to the people that you're helping and the resources that you're putting out, like, do you have a lot of young people coming to you or are you going to them?
Well, when we started our case management program at the beginning of this year, I knew that I was going to have to build the audience because the people in my community, they have not had these services in decades. So we decided that our case managers were going to go out and knock on doors and ask people, are you okay? You know, we just came through COVID. We just came through the shutdown. Are you okay? Did you lose a job? Is there anything we can do for you?
Dang.
So our
I
case
wish
managers.
where you was when I ain't had no job.
No, honestly that's really, really noble. Like,
So for the audience, I'm sorry, did I cut you off? I didn't mean to cut you off. So for the audience, can you tell them exactly what resources do you provide?
That was a part of what we were building. It
Okay.
was, what do we need to provide? So about the first 6 months of our work was, what do you need? And then finding out what they need and going and finding those resources to bring into the community.
Okay.
So I thought when we started this that everybody was going to say, hey, I lost my job, I need work. Nobody said that.
what?
Right.
So before we started doing this, before we got really into it, I went to Career Source. I went to the job people and said, hey, we're going to need a partnership.
Yeah.
And we're going to need you to come out and do this, this, and this on these days of the week. And then when we started going out and talking to people, nobody wanted that.
Why?
Everybody wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Because of COVID.
Not because of COVID, but you know that there's been what they call, I forgot exactly what the terminology was, but people were walking away from their jobs.
Yeah.
Everybody was thinking, I'm going to do something different. This is the moment.
Yeah.
You know, this is my moment.
Especially this generation of 9 to 5 is not what it is.
Exactly.
People don't like to be told what to do, what time to come in. They want to sleep in late. They want, make their money how they want to make it. So did you ever like change the niche of that? Like instead of asking them what jobs or are you looking for a job, did you change it to, okay, how can we help you with your business?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what we did instead, it was just like false alarm, Career Source. We don't really need
Right.
it.
Oh wow.
And we started saying, what partnerships can we form to start an entrepreneurship program, an entrepreneurship boot camp.
Right.
So we wrote a proposal for that, and we'll be working with an organization called the Success Center, I was just recently one of the judges for their pitch competition because they were finishing up a cohort for their entrepreneurship program. So I told them I would love to partner with you where you have a cohort going through in Mims so that we can kind of partner. I don't want to recreate the wheel. I don't want to try to do it myself. But let's join with you and get entrepreneurship training here in the community.
Absolutely.
So everything that we found out that we needed, we started reaching out for the partners to come in to the community to provide those resources.
Okay.
Interesting. All right. So now you guys know a little bit about Karen and what she's about. You can see why I brought her on the show, because as someone who's deeply enthralled with the community, I want to know how the community feels, or in your point of view, on social issues. And what I mean by social issues, the main one we're going to talk about is what happened with George Floyd back in 2020. You started this in 2020. Was it before or after George Floyd?
After. Definitely after.
Okay, so was that when that happened, as a Gen Xer, what was your initial thoughts on being that this thing was broadcasted? This guy's
wanted
murder
to
was
fight.
broadcasted.
Yeah.
I know we wanted to fight.
So what was your initial reaction to seeing that video?
Outrage, of course, broken heart, and immediately, at the time I was still working at Kennedy Space Center. So I was a communications analyst for Kennedy Space Center. And
/astronaut.
Hardly. But so I was still working at the Space Center, and the outrage was just, every day I had to temper myself. I couldn't keep watching that video because I would go to work with an attitude,
Right.
go to work ready to fight. And so yeah, it broke my heart. And immediately I'm thinking Emmett Till, I'm thinking
Sandra Bland.
Yeah, I'm thinking all of that, and just how in the world.
What was the other young guy named? Trayvon
There were
Martin.
so many of them.
Right.
There were so many of them.
So many.
So this to me was because I was already outraged by Trayvon, because Mims is 30 miles away from Sanford where Trayvon died.
Dude,
That
but
was-
also what happened with oh my God, who are those people? The people who were in Mims who got burned on Christmas Day.
Oh, that was Harry T. Moore.
Yeah, I mean, even
and
that's a big thing.
there was so much that was stirring in me at that time. I was living in Mims during Trayvon Martin, and my son was 17, 18 years old, same age as Trayvon. So he got on lockdown immediately.
Yeah.
And when George Floyd happened, it broke my heart all over again. And about 6 months later, I was resigning from NASA and was like, okay, I can't not do anything.
Right.
And it was part of the impetus of starting Tooley Community Development Group.
So I'm going to go on, this is going to be a hot take. So if you guys are watching, this is just me. You can flame me if you want, don't flame them. As a millennial, and we've gone through this so many times, like y'all just mentioned, as a millennial, when I saw this, I was like, oh, another thing happened. I didn't have any connection to it, because I was like, something else will happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know?
I get that. I can see that.
And when I look back at it, yes, that's not good to think that way, but we've been conditioned to accept this garbage, you know. And as a millennial, that's kind of our faults, because we grew up going through a lot of things. We grew up with 9/11. We grew up with the stock market crashing. Our parents, getting divorced. We've gone through so
Did
many
you guys
different.
go through the depression?
Well, what do you mean? What depression? You talking about when the stock market crashed in 2008?
I was talking about just financial depression. Like
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
it.
we
That
were.
was-
In 2008 when
Okay.
that crashed,
Mhm.
and so, and being the fact that we complained so much, we just stopped. I think my generation just kind of stopped because we just felt defeated. Like nothing's gonna happen. Like they got cameras on you already, and why is there even an issue?
Yeah.
And so you and I, you do a podcast called the Queen's Table Podcast, and we were discussing why we think the younger generation may seem to be disinterested about learning about Black history, right? And so I will ask you about that to reiterate what you said, but after you say that, I did a little research, and I'll tell you a little bit about that after. But why do you think, in your perspective as a Gen Xer and as someone who does develop the community, why do you feel that the younger generation, Gen Z, may be disinterested in learning about Black history, not just history in general, but Black history?
Well, I have to say that even when you asked me that question before, I haven't seen that to be the case. Not that I've seen anything. I just haven't been aware that there was a disconnect with Gen Z and Black history. I didn't know that.
And you're right. That's why I'm bringing it back up.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I was wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's my generation.
Okay.
It's my generation, the millennials, who were disconnected with the history because we were just conditioned to the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
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 So, as in your opinion now, why do you think that Gen Z is now in it?
I think because of that, because of the disconnect, and because I think they're hungry. I think they're hungry for identity. They're hungry for significance, and it sort of breaks my heart a little bit because they deserve it. They deserve to know who they are. And when you disconnect anyone from their origin,
Right.
they're this disconnected thing just floating around with no. I was thinking about this before I came. I'm Kennedy. I was Kennedy Space Center for 7 years. If you're sending a rocket up into orbit, you can't start in low Earth orbit and think you're going to go. You can't start up here. You got to know the foundation of where it came from in order for the trajectory to be correct, right? I can't be sure that I'm headed to the moon unless I know where I'm starting from.
True.
So wait. Pause. Speaking on the moon and space, do you feel like it's water up there?
Oh, she going. Where'd she go? Where'd she go with this?
Water? Because it's a lot. Even with the rockets going up there, did you see Elon Musk's rocket
my
and
gosh.
then the water just rippled? You didn't see that?
Yes.
And I personally seen myself like the big glow. There's like a little glow inside of it. I personally seen that in the sky, and it was like, oh my gosh, like what is
Karen,
this?
did you sign an NDA with NASA? There's some things you know that you can't talk about.
Trust me, they were only telling me stuff that they
Space
tell
the ocean.
everybody
It's
else.
space the ocean for real. Like,
Oh.
what do you think? What do you think on that?
There, I believe that there is water on Mars. I think that they have found water. I don't know about the moon, but they were saying there was ice on Mars. I think it was either Mars or the moon, but they were saying there was ice somewhere up there, and that's why they're waiting to decide whether or not to go as far as Mars, because if you don't have water, you don't have rocket fuel, right?
Right.
So there's still so much research going on around that.
So why we only been to the moon one time?
No, we've been more. Last time we were in Apollo 1972. I think it was the last time we went, but we haven't been back
I thought
since
the
then.
first we only went was supposedly one time.
No, we went in
Supposedly,
69, and I think we
allegedly.
went in 72. I think that was the last time we went. Was Anyway, I'm sure if you're watching this on YouTube, you tell us the actual fact. Because I know you guys are watching like, how dare they forget about our history? Do you see how we act when we tell you about our history? Get the facts straight. But yeah, anyway, so when George Floyd happened, did your mom already pass or no?
Yes, she had already passed, and my dad had already passed as well, and so it was both of them were. My dad was one of the first black.
Your dad's a legend.
My dad was one of the first black engineers at NASA.
Yeah,
one of the first. He actually had a supervisory role in one of the firing rooms during shuttle. So, and he was also just a proponent of black people. The Tooley family. What I've learned about the Tooleys makes me proud to be a Tooley.
Is that why you're still in Mims?
I don't live in Mims. I live in Titusville. But
okay, if you're watching this, literally Titusville, Mims.
Right, it is
I'm
very
not even
close
gonna lie.
together.
Yeah.
But
You sneeze, you're in Mims. Mims is only like this big anyway. You know what I'm saying?
East Mims is that big. East Mims is that big. But my father is not from Mims. My father's from a little town called Palatka. So,
Vodka.
but it makes me proud of who I am, of what we've accomplished as a family, which is why I say they deserve to know their history, because there is so much more. The only thing they wanted to teach us here on these shores is on this side of the Middle Passage, right? Only after we've landed on these shores how dare they leave out the thousands of years of
Right.
accomplishments
Right.
when Black people were the people who were ruling the earth?
It really
How
was.
dare they not tell
We
us
was
that?
kings and queens full of gold. Like,
And not
I can
Had
just
it
see.
all.
I can just see the incels start to type.
let
Oh,
them type.
Oh.
let it type.
oh no.
But when you type, make sure that you've done some research. Don't say nothing that you can't substantiate, because I can substantiate every word I say.
Amen.
So
That's why I need to get into these books, because that's how I want to be. I want to back it up with facts, not from what I heard or what I seen. Just like it's a lot when it comes down to getting deep into our history, because going way back, like I had an example. I lost it.
Okay.
Go
Well,
Phil. I lost it. Oh my God, I hate when I do that.
So in school,
Mhm.
when I was in school,
Let me see.
Black history started when the slaves came.
yes,
You
absolutely.
know, and I think the reason why I said what I said on the last show was because how history is being attempted to be changed with that when it comes to slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they were workers. The text is being changed. And so
It's a job
when-
skills program.
we were never taught in school. We were never taught that was a Black Wall Street. We didn't know about, even here in Nicoe, there was a massacre in Nicoe. I think 320 people were murdered. We didn't know about that. We didn't know about a lot of things. So and maybe that's why, I'm only assuming here, maybe that's why my generation doesn't feel as connected, because
Right.
we just don't know. And maybe Gen Z is more connected because the information is out there.
I feel like they really try to bury our history so we won't know who we are, because we are powerful beings.
Right.
We really are. Like they tell us not to look at the sun, but we get energy from the sun. They tell us like things. They tell us backwards. They give us the information backwards so we won't do it. But if they give it to us as the truth, we would know who we really are, and that's what they don't want.
I don't even think they even know the truth. When I'm saying they
They know
I
the
just
truth.
mean the general populace.
Other cultures,
The
or
power.
cultures.
Yeah. I'm not sure. There's I'll tell you what, some of the stuff that I've learned in my own self-study about who we are, it is right there in the books. There's one book that talks about who we were prior to the Middle Passage, even prior to things like the Inquisition in the 14 and 1500s, all of that. It is so clear. It lays out who we are. That book cost about $6,000
Are you
$6,000?
serious?
for a book.
I get a Bible for $12.
For a book.
$6,000.
$6,000,
Why
and
is-
that's one of the less expensive books. But they're books that were written, and it's because of the rareness of the book too. I understand that, but it's books that were written before the slave trade, before the introduction of racism into our society, because racism is a social construct. It is not
I'm gonna
something.
get a hold of those books.
It was not something that is natural. It was created. Okay. And it was created to support capitalism and imperialism and the slave trade.
Right.
Because the slave trade made people wealthy, extremely wealthy.
That's why I said people aren't born racist; they're taught to
Right.
be racist.
And this society has been taught. And the greatest lie perpetrated upon humanity up until this point is that Black people are inferior. We are not inferior. And that's not to say, I am not saying that we are superior to other races either. That's not what I'm saying. But we are definitely not.
I
inferior.
believe we're the chosen ones. I don't care what y'all got to say.
No,
We
I'm
are-
glad you
we are
said
the
that,
chosen ones.
because someone's going to hear what you just
of
said and be like,
course.
wait.
Of course.
So when we say Black Lives Matter, does not mean that's it. So
Right.
Jesus Lord. But let's actually get into that, right? So after George Floyd was murdered in Memorial Day of 2020, now we were in the height of COVID at that time, so the world was just in a different place,
On fire.
right? The world was just on fire. The term BLM also stands for Black Lives Matter. Was starting to trend at that point. So a lot of the other cultures don't understand what that meant, but I feel that Gen Z was one of the ones that actually pushed that into the forefront.
Yeah.
and especially with activism, with the protests. You know, all the protests, and that was all Gen Z stuff.
Yeah,
Well, people in my generation, we weren't gonna do it. People in your generation weren't gonna do it because we felt that I'm only saying from my own opinion. We felt that nothing was gonna get done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know? And so I feel that the BLM was a huge milestone. But let me ask you this, Karen. You've heard a lot of probably contradictory things about BLM. Why do other cultures feel that it's an attack on them?
Right. White lives matter. All
Yeah.
lives matter.
Yeah, why do you
matter.
feel that it's
I don't know if they feel like. I don't know that they feel like it's an attack on them. Sometimes I think that it is. It's willful ignorance.
okay?
It's choosing to be offended because you just don't like what's happening.
Right.
And it's not so much that you think that another culture is thinking that they're being subjugated or they're being put down. They don't honestly think that. They just do not want to see you get up. It's not that they feel like you're putting them down. It's just that, oh no, we can't let them.
Oh, that
be
reminds
equal.
me of the Ant movie. Just like the grasshopper, he was talking to his clan and he was talking about the ant. He was like, if this one ant rise up, then they're all going to have the courage to rise up because it's more of them and less of the grasshoppers. So that really stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Like, it really did.
Yeah, I think that's the truth. I think that's part of don't teach them their history. Make
Right.
sure that that they don't understand, because man, if they get the idea of who they were and the power that's in them, the power that is just innate
Right.
in us. We were rulers. We ruled this planet for more years than America's been alive. America's what, 200 and something years old. The dynasties in Egypt were like 3,000 years old. So I mean, I just don't understand who has convinced us that we're less than someone.
The system.
So let me ask you a question. I guess my role here, I'm going to play devil's advocate. So I guess I'll just be that guy. I'm not saying that that's my opinion, but I know you probably thinking those questions. I'll ask them for you. So earlier today, you weren't in the room, but the question was asked about do you see color? What is your response to that? Because Teondra's answer is probably different than what you think. What's your response to that?
Personally, you're asking me if I see it, or you're asking?
I know you do, but when you hear people say I don't see color, what do you think they mean by that, and what do you think it actually means?
Well, I don't want to say that everybody who says it means one thing. First of all, some people are genuinely trying to be good people when they say it, but when you deny me my difference, or when you deny me my uniqueness, you're not doing me a favor. It sounds like when people say I don't see color, they're trying to assure me that they don't see me as black, like they're doing me a favor. You know, I don't see your blackness. No, see my blackness. I want you to see my blackness.
That's what the
because it's a
lady
part
that
of me.
come to ask her that question, that was her perspective. Your answer was her perspective on when she answered the question back. But I was more so of like knowing who we are, like our nationality. Like we're not a color, we are human beings. You know, we're not black, they're not white. They have Caucasian, but we have black. Like, we're human beings. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not even gonna get into the nationality because that's a whole nother podcast when it comes down to that. But I definitely understand that though, because we do go through a lot of trauma. Like I said, it was different. Like if we get stopped by the police and then Caucasians get stopped by the police, that is totally different. It's different if we walk in a white neighborhood and they're walking in a white. Like, it's so different. Like, and that's the scary part about color, being colored, really. That is the scary part. And like Phil said that we have to always sit down and have those talks with our children about the police, or about if you do go into our environment, you know, that people don't see you and with the right intentions on how to adapt to that environment. But like I said, it's a lot that we have to unlearn to relearn when it comes down to color. And just us as being human beings.
But I think Gen Z, I think you guys are really at the forefront of that though. And I think it's going to take some time for the older millennials and the Gen Xers and then the boomers. I mean, they're aging out anyway, so it's going to take time for that because I mean, people older than you, they're going to have a completely different opinion on that just because that's just what they were learned. I mean, they were the ones with the fire hoses blasting your mama.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I don't like is that when I hear get over it because it didn't happen to us in particular.
Not over that.
So what do you have to say when people say, because this is all over the comments, all over your videos too.
It is.
Because wasn't even that long ago. Your mama probably experienced this stuff.
Right.
So when people say get over it, what do you have to say to that? Is it just ignorance or?
It's just ignorance, and I could be angry about that, but then I have to ask myself, what do they not know that makes them say that? Right. Which is why we had our episode on the Queen's Table on racial trauma, because of that comment. Let me explain to you why it's not just get over it. Now, other people who have dealt with trauma, whether it's PTSD, sexual violence, child abuse, people who have dealt with those things, we don't say to them, just get over it. Right? Because we give that credibility. We give them space to be traumatized. But we don't allow people who have been I remember in elementary school, we went to school in one of the most racist places I have ever been in my life. I won't name it here, but
you should drop that.
It's just north of Mims, and we knew that you need to be out of there.
Was it a sundown town? A sundown town?
We knew you don't want to be caught up in there. Teondra,
do you know what a sundown town is? Please explain it to her.
A sundown town is a town that has made it known that if you're black, by the time the sun goes down.
They still have those.
Oh, yeah.
They actually still have those.
Yes, well, go ahead. Tell the audience too, because
So it's a town that if you're black, you know that by the time the sun goes down, you need to be out of there. You need to be out of that town, or something bad is going to happen to you. So I grew up in that era of there were sundown towns. And I remember it wasn't after sundown, okay? But I remember being in this area. I gotten out of school. I don't know why I would have been walking home because it's a distance. I remember being chased by dogs. I remember people sicking dogs on us.
Get over it, Karen.
Exactly. Get over it. I remember being in elementary school, the only black child.
And you're not even old. You're not even old.
A little old.
Karen's not even old. She's not old.
I'm 54 years old.
No, she's not.
But I remember in elementary school being just about the only black child in our school. And I remember being called a nigger. I remember all the stuff that just happened to you just because you're the black kid at school.
It's still happening. Sadly to say, it's happened. The only difference is it's just being recorded.
Yeah.
It's really happening. And 54, you're beautiful at 54.
Thank you.
Great age.
Thank you.
It really is. But my aunties used to always tell us too, that how they used to get chased by people, dogs and stuff. How my auntie, she was ruthless. Like, the people would call her a nigger, but she'll throw something at him and run. Like, it was a lot. And I thank God that I took care of my grandfather. He was 92 years old, who definitely lived through all of that. He just passed 2020, what was it? Yeah, 23 May.
Yeah.
And he hates Caucasian people. Like, he really do. Even when I took him to his doctors, he would not talk to him. Like, I would have to sit there and give him, like, he would not talk to them.
So my situation is different.
Crazy.
So I grew up in Virginia. In the peninsula area, so a lot of military, big melting pot. My father grew up in a podunk city called Suffolk. My dad was a self-hating black guy. My dad's also mixed. My dad's half. So his mother is white. His dad was black. And so growing up in the 60s with an interracial family, he saw both of the sides. But his family had to kind of, because they were in a predominantly white country podunk, so they had to kind of
Yeah.
stick on that side. So he never said this to me, but he didn't like being black.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Didn't like it because it was he was scared.
Yeah, and I think this generation, that's what we're most proud of being black.
I agree.
We're very proud of being black because you're not going to tell me what to do or how I can't learn my. You're not going to tell me. You can't tell us nothing basically because we're going to fight back. We're like the Malcolm X.
Is it okay for white
Like-
people to say they're proud to be white? Because that's going to come in the comments.
Yeah, it's fine for them to say that.
You're proud to be who you are. If that's your culture, that's your culture.
Yeah.
So-
Embrace it.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem that we have right now is that why can't you just embrace who you are? And if you embrace who you are, you ain't got no problem with who I am. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like they only do it when they say that, they only do it in defense.
It is usually.
In defense of us saying we're proud of who we are.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, but same thing with the Black Lives Matter thing. You didn't hear about All Lives Matter. You didn't hear about police
Yeah.
lives
Police
matter.
lives.
You didn't hear about any of that stuff.
They do
until-
have the blue code, the blue, what they say?
Blue Lives Matter.
Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah.
They did have that.
But that was after Black Lives Matter. It was
Yeah.
as a response.
Yeah.
So why do you feel that other cultures feel like our blackness, they are offended by us being proud of who we are when we've gone through what we've gone through? Because I'll tell you, someone's like, well, the Irish went through slavery, or the Native Americans went through this, or the Jews went through the Holocaust. What makes us different? And when they say they've moved on, what makes us different than that?
Nobody has moved on from the traumatic events that have happened in history. People haven't. Who says someone's moved on? I mean, we have, for instance, one of the things that I respect is that in Germany, they don't deny that it happened. They put up memorials. They remember it in a way. It's almost a way of repentance. It's almost a way of penance. They remember it and say, we're never going there again. Why is it such a problem to do that here?
So is it okay to leave the statues up?
I think that's a bit of a shift there. That's a different conversation because in Germany, when they're doing their memorials, it's not to the Nazis. It's not to the other people. The memorials are about the people that died there,
Yeah.
the people that were traumatized there.
Right.
So when you put up, can you imagine if they were putting up statues to the Nazis? It would the outcry against that would be.
But it's history. I'm always, you know why I'm doing
I
this.
understand.
He being
It's
that
like-
guy.
It's
Yeah.
but it's history.
It is history. It's the wrong side of history. And that's what I'm saying about in Germany, the memorials are not to the other side of history. They're to the side of history where humanity came to a turning point of saying, look, that was wrong. We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
We're not there here
Yeah, especially not
for
America.
whatever reason.
I feel like it's all about power. It's really about power. Who can control the world
Yeah, it
and
is.
control the people,
So
and they're not for the people.
do you think that we are entitled to reparations?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Reparations have been paid to, I think, the internment camps for Japanese people. I'm not sure if reparations were paid to Jews. I'm not sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
Some.
For the most part, when something historical happened like that, it was acknowledged, it was repented of, and the people were paid some type of reparations.
I feel like that's too much money they got to give out for us.
It is.
But
It's gonna
do
be way too.
But do you think that
Because
is?
we
But
go
they shouldn't have brought so many
years
of us
and
over here.
years. We go years back. Like our history is so deep. Like I don't know much about it. I'm still learning, but we go years back. Seriously.
But it's equal to the greed, right? It's
Yeah.
it's a punishment for the greed. Because if you weren't so greedy, you wouldn't have bought so many million people over here. Now you got to pay these million people that you brought over here. So
Exactly.
I don't feel sorry for them because it would be.
Right.
So
like
what
even
would-
when the vaccine came out, though, the Chinese people, they got the bill like to not be harassed when it comes down. Did you hear
Hey,
about
stop
that?
Asian hate.
Yeah, but
Yep.
we get a day of the month.
Yeah. So honestly, if you
Like
want if
that-
you want to go back to that, so the Stop Asian Hate bill took less than a year to be implemented. You know, we've been
Exactly.
preaching stuff for us forever, and it's been falling on deaf ears, and that's one of the reasons why I say my generation. This is just me, but and maybe my circle just seemed like doesn't matter because we can cry all day, not cry, but we can speak about it all day,
Right.
and nothing's going to get done.
But the problem is, Phil, that so our parents, my parents, and yeah, I think that was the generation. Like right now, we have them. We're losing them. Like Joe
Biden.
No. John Lewis.
Okay.
That age group, that they were the civil rights icons and leaders and historical figures in civil rights. Somebody dropped the ball. Somebody didn't continue the fight. I don't know whether that was my generation, but somebody dropped the ball, which meant that all of the work that they did begins to fall apart, and it hits you. So it fell apart in my generation. And so when you guys came up and then everything started, the backlash you're getting, like, well, everything falls apart. We don't have a voice,
Right.
because my generation dropped the ball. And I don't know, that's what it seems like to me. And I feel that in Mims, because we had Harry T. Moore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people out there know.
Please, yeah, I don't think Teondra knows
Okay.
about the Moors.
So I'm not sure how many people know about the Harry T. Moore story. We have a museum and cultural center.
Hold on, Dean, zoom in on her real quick because this is an important story.
Yeah. So, and I'm not sure which camera.
Just look at the.
Okay. So I keep calling him doctor. He was not a doctor. But Harry T. Moore was a civil rights icon. And really, I say he's a pioneer of civil rights, because before Emmett Till, before Rosa Parks, before Medgar Evers, Harry T. Moore was fighting the good fight over in Mims. He started the NAACP chapter there. He began to fight for equal pay for teachers. He did a whole lot with voting rights in Mims. And in 1951, on Christmas Day, his home was bombed by the Ku Klux Klan. So they murdered his wife. His two children, I don't believe, were in the house at the time. But he ended up dying because he could not get medical care in Brevard County. He had to be rushed over to Sanford, which, by the way, Sanford was the place where Trayvon Martin died.
And it's so close. This is so close.
Right. So he had to be taken over to Sanford, and I believe he died on the way. But he
died in the hospital 9 days later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he worked with Thurgood Marshall. He was a significant figure in Black history. He was a significant figure in the civil rights movement, the very beginning of the civil rights movement. So that kind of history is deep in Mims. And I remember the icons. I like to say that Harry T. Moore was a shining star in our history, but it was a constellation. Because there were other families that worked with him. And I remember those families. I remember coming up as a little girl in Mims, there was a pride about being Black. And you weren't going to, there were certain things you just weren't going to do. You weren't going to cuss around old people. You weren't going to, you were going to be in church. You were going to be in Sunday school. You know, you were going to make good grades, and you were expected to go to college. And of the colleges, you were going to go to FAMU or you were going to go to BCU. At the time, it was BCC. You know, everybody was wearing their paraphernalia, the AKAs, the Omegas, the Kappas. You saw all that coming up. And there were these educated, strong people all around us.
Yes.
Right? I don't know. I know that when I came back to Mims, it was like being in a time warp.
Really?
I don't know what happened, except that generation was so powerful. They told all of us, you're going to get an education and you're going to get out of here. And we did. And then it was them left with the people that were under us.
Yeah.
And so there was nobody still fighting. And I see that on the microcosm of Mims.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what happened on the macro as well.
Could be.
We stopped fighting.
Right.
Do you think so? I'm going to butcher this. So if you're watching, please correct me in the comments. But I think the term it says hard times create hard. No, I don't know. Screw it. Hard times create hard men, and hard men create easy times, or something like that. I'll fix my. I'll
I
fix
see.
it.
I
But you know what
understand
I'm
that.
talking about?
I
Yeah.
get the concept, because a lot of times what I feel like
Let me
happened,
find this quote.
we had these.
Let me get it right.
We had these strong, powerful people that made it easy for us. So we stopped fighting because we had it easy because they fought. And then the next generation down is like, what just happened?
Right.
We lost everything because we took it so easy.
Do you think it's because of, like, just being afraid, having that fear of, oh, somebody's going to come after me, somebody's going to assassinate my family, somebody's going to,
I don't think so.
I feel like they, like, when they trying to stop you, they never stop because they don't want to see us rise.
Right.
So, because I don't think we have, do we have any fighters? I don't think, well, oh my God, speaking of Black Lives Matter, it was just the fact, I don't like the attention that they put out there. Like, it was all about positivity, we're about the Black lives, but then you go and scam a whole company that's supposed to have good intentions and impact us to be better. So it's just, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that. My thoughts just went everywhere when it came down to that.
Yeah, I think we have to be very careful about the integrity of our leaders, the people that we push forward. Because once you get on a certain level, at a certain platform, it's even more difficult. If you have this much of a false intention of you, or you have this much of, I don't know this much leaven is the way I would say it as pastor. This much, you have this much in you. Once you get up on this platform, it's gonna be harder. It's gonna be harder to keep your hands off the money. If you got a money problem on the small platform, once you get on the big one and you're dealing with millions of dollars, you're gonna have an even bigger money problem. You're gonna have an even bigger integrity problem. So we have to be real careful and promote people slowly, so that you can watch their character as they're moving up. Because if they got a character problem on the small stage, they're going to have a huge one on the big stage.
All right, so I found the quote here. Okay. Tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create tough times. So
Absolutely. It's
the reason why I brought that up is because your generation and the generation before you fought so hard to be equal and to get to have rights. Maybe my generation had it easier, and we didn't feel like we had to fight as hard. And so then maybe all the atrocities have been happening during my generation has caused Gen Z now to fight that fight.
Right.
What do you feel about that?
I think that is true. I'm not sure that my generation fought. I think we reaped the benefits of the generation before us. So I think maybe it's both of our generations that didn't fight as hard. And I pray that this generation is going to turn that around. But in order to do that, Teondra, you guys have got to know who you are. You've got to know your history.
And I feel like this generation, we're in that spiritual move to knowing who we are, actually to getting closer to God, to knowing who He really is for real. But I kind of take that back out when I said that we didn't have like any fighters. I feel like we do, but it's in a different way. They're telling us about who we really are. For example, one of the guys, he's on Instagram. His name is The Real Kush Day.
Okay.
He literally has a lot of information about what he reads. And they say if you want to hide something from somebody, put it in a book, because they're not going to read. That's why we need to read. But
True.
But he gives me a lot of insight about who we are. I watch his videos. Even this guy, I was trying to get his name, but I know he's on this page. It's called Money for the Mind. But he talks about how the sun heals us, how eating grass, I'm not eating grass, like just eating vegetables, like what it does to our body. We're not supposed to be eating meat, like stuff like that. I think that's what's really important, of knowing who we are too, in our creed, our nationality, our soul, and our spirit. That's what we really need to get down to, because my spirit is just saying that God is on his way back for real. God is coming back for his people. And like Noble Drew Ali said. He's a prophet, and this is in the book. You guys could go read it. He basically said that to stand behind God before the fire, know who you are. Just know who you are as people. And that's why I say, like, when it comes down to religion, I'm not like a person that really believe in religion. Like, whoever believes in religion, okay, I'm not fighting y'all. It's my opinion. But I just believe that we have to wear long skirts to our ankles. Like, that's not gonna, get us into heaven. It's about
right.
love,
You're
peace. Where's your mind, your heart, like kindness. That's what it's really
so
about.
I'm a pastor, and I'm going to tell you this.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Hot
Oh
take.
my gosh.
Okay.
Right.
And
Coming from a
I'm-
pastor.
I'm telling you that because I think that it's your generation that's holding us accountable by saying, why do I have to have my skirt to my ankles? And if we don't have an answer, if somebody can't give you an answer for what they're telling you, then I would say, leave it alone until you can give me an answer. The Bible even tells me that I'm supposed to have an answer for the hope that's within me. I'm supposed to be able to give you a reason. And if I can't, then you have every reason to just kind of go, okay, then. Like what they say, okay, boomer. I'm not a boomer. But but I understand that. And it hurts my heart that we haven't given you better answers.
So, as a Gen X and a pastor, do you see, I know we're veering in a different course here, but religion in general, spirituality in general has gotten way, way big now. I think Gen Z it's popularized that. How's your take on religion and Christianity as a whole? How do you see it?
Why you said
through
it like
Gen
that?
Z's eyes?
Religion and Christianity.
It's two different things.
Because it is. Well, because you could be talking about Hinduism,
Okay.
That's what I mean. So, like, religion as a whole, organized religion as a whole, and Christianity to a younger generation, are they not connected as we were and your generation was?
I think, and I'm having to because I have two kids that are both Gen Zers, okay? And I have to, they challenge me because I can't tell them just anything,
Yeah.
okay? And I think they're finding their path to God in some ways that we did not, right?
It's through experiences.
Right, but we have to trust them with God. We have to trust them in God's hands.
Yeah.
That they're going to find their way there. Now, for me, what I would love to see them do more is the Bible says that wisdom is in a man's spirit, and it takes some wisdom to draw it out. So there's things inside of me. There's experiences inside of me. There's scripture. There's word inside of me that if you need it, pull it. Pull it out. But you've got to trust that older people have something to say.
But sometimes you need that too. You need to be challenged to get those answers.
Absolutely.
That you say you don't have.
Absolutely.
So.
And so I would like to say to you, in your search for who you are, don't neglect the theology in it. Don't neglect scripture, right?
Oh yeah, no.
Because there is so much out there that can get you twisted up and tangled up in some stuff that that can trip you up. So make sure that whatever you're learning, that you're balancing it out with scripture.
Right. Spirituality.
Yeah, spiritual truth.
My favorite quote, let me go to this. This is my favorite quote. It is Exodus 3:13-14. It says, Then Moses said to God, If I come to the people of Israel and say to them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you.
And that's an Eminem line.
So when it comes down to like affirmations, like it just made so much sense when I read that scripture, because it's like when we do affirmations, we say, I am this, I am beautiful, I am going to have this, like I am. It's like we're literally calling out to God, like, because God is within us. God is not a building. God is not.
Right.
He's
not
within
your
us.
skirt to your ankles. He's
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's not the skirt to your ankles.
Right.
Right. So, and I remember Trump. I don't know what he did when he was president, but he went over to Israel and he moved something on the Holy Land to somewhere else, and it caused like an uproar. Do you remember that?
I do, but I barely. I do remember him doing something. I don't think he moved something.
Well, he tried to build something on the template. I think it was he was building. He was trying to. I don't remember exactly what he was trying to do.
Tell us in the comments.
But I remember that, and it was just like he basically was trying to make God, like, people go pray to this inside this building to what? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a spirit. Well, of course you can't see spirits, but it wasn't of God basically. But like he was saying, like God is. And after I saw that, after I like saw the information on the news and all that and stuff, that's when he came out and he had the Bible upside down. He took the picture in front of the church with the Bible upside down. I really feel like all of this stuff that we're going through is spiritual.
Everybody, I just found this book.
It is so
You're right.
spiritual.
You're right. It absolutely is.
It resonates back to God. It resonates back to what they call it, or magic, or what people was saying, white magic, or whatever it all resonate back to that. And sex.
All right.
It's a lot of stuff that resonate back to sex.
What do you mean?
Like
Connect those
just
dots.
how we was. Okay, of course we're born. Like we have to have sex to be born.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, this is another podcast.
All right.
It's about Adam and Eve. Like
Okay.
the eating wasn't like.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't. It's like I say. I told our guest here that life is like telephones. It's so many stories there, but it's similar, but it's just told a different way. And like the eating, oh my God, it's going deep. It's going deeper into a hole. That's why I don't even want to get on
No,
it.
you're fine. I get what you're saying.
It's
though. I get
going
what you're saying.
way deeper into a hole because I always want to know, like, how did evil come about in the garden? Like, how did the snake come about? So it was like this whole thing of that Adam had another wife before Eve. You heard of that?
No.
You heard of that one?
No wonder we like multiple women.
So
It's just in our DNA.
so many stories.
So
It's so many
again,
stories.
Back to what I was encouraging you to do is to. One thing that scares me about your generation,
Yes,
is that there are no absolutes and there's no
Yes.
final source of truth.
you
So you guys can go down any rabbit hole, or you listen to anybody because everybody has a platform now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's so easy to get tripped up. So if you got to find your source of truth.
Right.
What is the final source of truth? Because to hypothesize or to find to create conjectures about Adam having another wife, for example, is it scripture?
I don't know. But you got it's not back in the Hebrew Bible neither.
No. And the way that evil came into the world, there is a scripture that says, I've created evil for the day that I would need it. God created everything that was created by God.
Yep.
Okay. So when we want to find out where evil comes from, God created it. Why? Because he needed it for whatever he needed it for. Everything he created. When people talk about the devil, that's God's devil. He created that devil. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
oh man, there's a scene in my
Ooh,
favorite
you made
movie.
that so much powerful.
Well, we'll have a completely different. We need to do this on your show, but about just religion and the community. My favorite movie is Constantine, and there's a quote in that movie. Do you know the movie Constantine? It's with Keanu Reeves.
No.
Where he fights demons and sends them back to hell.
I've never seen.
But he's damned himself.
Okay.
Because he tried to commit suicide. But anyway, there's a scene in that movie where he's talking to the other actress, and he says like, God and the devil are the same, two sides of the same coin. And the quote, I forget the quote in general, but that stuck with me. But I don't want to go into that completely. That's a whole other show.
You want to go down that road?
But I did want to ask you something though. You're an author, right?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me about your book that you wrote.
So there are 4 of them, but the book that I want to talk about today is Standing on the Precipice. That one is all about what my story as it relates to Black history.
Okay.
So it goes into the Harry T. Moore. It goes into the history of Mims, and also it's called "Standing on the Precipice: A Prophetic Word to Black America." So I wrote it in 2019, 2020, in that era, right at 400 years after slavery began on this continent.
Right.
And what I felt like God was saying to me at that time, what the word was to America, to Black Americans. And it goes into some of what you were talking about with our Hebrew origins, right? It goes into some of that as well. So
Is it available?
it is. It's available on Amazon. It's
Right.
called Standing on the
Yeah,
Precipice.
make sure you send me a link. I'll
Will
put
do.
the link in the comments.
What is your website? Don't you have a website?
My website is ktooleycurry.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also have another one.
The website for the company is tooleycdg.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what can they find there?
On there is everything about the nonprofit and everything about the redevelopment in East Mims.
Okay.
On that one.
I'm not even gonna lie. When y'all was saying Mims, I thought y'all was saying like Sims.
No, Mims, actual city, actual place.
MIMS Mims.
Yeah, no. Well, Karen,
It
this
kind of remind me of Sims.
this show has been. I mean, this is probably a little longer episode.
Oh wait, before
Yeah.
we end it though,
Okay.
because you just said her name,
Karen,
Karen.
yes.
How do you feel about your name?
Oh, yes.
About your name.
Yeah.
That's funny. I use it. I become Karen when I need to.
Hold on. There you go. Say it again.
I said I become Karen when I need to. I use
Become
it when I
Karen.
need to. But yeah,
How do you use that? Like, give us like.
I weaponize it when I have a bad experience and I want to see a manager.
Right.
Do you tell them like my name is Karen?
No,
Right.
but sometimes I felt like maybe I should just like throw that out there. Yes, I'm Karen, and I want to see a manager.
Dang, that's a shame.
So you're not offended? You're not offended by it?
No.
No, because that's
Do
a
you- do
Gen
you
Z.
feel like-
Gen Z called
Right, Gen Zers put that out. I think we did.
that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Karens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't bother
Like
me.
a boy, if your name Cameron, Karen, we already know what you about. Don't come over here with that.
That's funny though. Well, Karen, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you
I mean,
so
today
I
has
enjoyed
been
it. Thank you for having me.
supersized show. You know, I still don't even know if we even got anything answered. You know, you know, Dean, as a white guy, do you have any questions? Honestly, anything on your mind about any of the stuff that we say? Because you've seen life through a completely different lens.
Yeah, well,
But you're hip though.
yeah, I
You're
got
down
nothing.
for the cause though.
I got nothing. You know, I've been enjoying the conversation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, guys, you know, please, if you haven't already, make sure you say everything you need to say in the comments. Get it out there. You know, this
Speak
is
your
this is
mind.
a safe space.
Right.
We won't call you out unless you're preaching hate. Then YouTube will take care of it.
You just called me out. What the hell?
You did, Phil.
I mean calling you out in a negative way.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you
no.
just got me out.
So you're good. But yeah, so guys, thank you so much for tuning in. You know, this has been a phenomenal episode. If you have any other questions, we'll put Karen's info in the comments as well if you want to reach out to her. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on our social media. Make sure you like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on Gen to Gen.
Right.
See ya.
Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Don't forget. Remember, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So subscribe.
We don't know what we're giving away yet, but
We
we'll,
don't, but subscribe.
we'll give you something. So make sure you subscribe. So we'll catch you later, guys. See ya.
See you.
You gotta do the.
In the club with my
Do it.
with my bag.